Hello, hello. Testing, testing. Hey, can everybody hear me? Great, great. I appreciate you all being out here today to hear a little bit about Gemini Nano. My name is Gonzalez. I'm a product manager at Google DeepMind. My main focus at Google DeepMind is our small model family. And this model family is known as Gemini Nano. And you'll hear a lot about that today because that's what my talk will be covering. So first off, welcome to the Gemini era. Gemini models are a family of models developed by Google DeepMind. And starting from the top here, you have Gemini Ultra, which is our most performant, most complex model. It's really good for tasks that involve multi-step reasoning, math, coding, and science-based abilities. Then we have Gemini Pro in the middle. And Gemini Pro is what I like to call a sweet spot model, which allows it to be very, very fast, yet still remain highly performant across a variety of tasks. And then finally, we have the Gemini Nano family, which is what I'll be focusing on for this talk. Gemini Nano is our smallest, fastest, and most lightweight offering from the Gemini family. Within the Gemini Nano family, we further break it down into Gemini Nano 1 and Gemini Nano 2, and I'll be speaking about why did we train such small models anyways? Well, the Gemini Nano model checkpoints were really created to push the limit of what a small, highly efficient model could achieve. How much knowledge, how much helpfulness can you pack into just a few billion parameters? We really do believe that Gemini Nano models are at the frontier of small, efficient models and at compressing so much knowledge into just a few billion parameters. Their relatively small sizing allows them to be deployed in places where even a 10B or 12B model would be too large. And examples of this would be on device for offline use cases, where nano models can actually run with absolutely no internet connection. And so, as I mentioned in the last slide, we train two sizes, which allows us to target a variety of devices. So some for devices with lower amounts of RAM and some for higher RAM devices that can kind of benefit from some additional parameters and increased quality. Cool. So now getting into some of the details. Nano models are built on transformer decoders with additional architectural improvements and some novel optimizations that we had as part of the Gemini family. Nano 1 specifically is a 1.8 billion parameter model. It supports a context window of up to 32K tokens, and it is distilled from our larger Gemini checkpoints. To keep Nano as small as possible, when we deploy it to target devices, we do 4-bit quantization of the model weights. And this makes a small model even smaller. On the chart on the right, you can see some of Nano's benchmarks. And so starting from the top there, we have famous MMLU, which is basically a multiple choice exam question answering pair from high school, college, professional level. It covers about 57 subjects from STEM, the humanities, social sciences, and more. It ranges in difficulty from elementary level to kind of advanced professional level, and it tests both the model's world knowledge and its problem-solving, multi-step reasoning abilities. Then we have TiDi-QA, which is about 200,000 question-answer pairs from about 11 different languages. And it explores a diverse range of linguistic phenomena and different kind of data challenges. Next, we have BoolQ, which is a question-answering data set, which is basically yes or no questions, about 16K examples. And these are natural questions like, is the post office and the Royal Mail the same? Is Thanksgiving always the last Thursday of the month? And the model then has to answer either yes or no to these questions. So you could say we have particularly strong performance on TiDi-QA and BoolQ, which are kind of these natural text question answering benchmarks. Next, we have natural questions retrieved, which is a question answering data set where basically each example is comprised of a Google query and a corresponding Wikipedia page. And then the model is asked a question provided with this context, and the model then has to retrieve the context from the Wikipedia page and answer the question. And then finally, we have Big Bench Hard. Big Bench Hard is a diverse eval suite that focuses on tasks that are beyond the capabilities of current language model. So it's called Big Bench Hard because it's supposed to be really hard for language model. And we're actually really proud we were able to get these results with such a small model on what is supposed to be a data set that language models should really struggle with. So now moving on to Nano 2. Nano 2 is very similar to Nano 1. It's about just under twice as large from a total parameter count perspective. And as I mentioned earlier, it serves to improve quality for devices that have enough RAM to afford the additional size of the model. Now, looking at the same benchmarks that we saw on the prior slide, we see that Nano 2 improves across the board and performs particularly well on these natural text-based question answering tasks. We're also really proud about this model's strong performance on MMLU, achieving almost a 56 on MMLU, which is frankly one of the hardest benchmarks for small models alongside that Big Bench Hard benchmark I mentioned. And just to put it in perspective, this score on MMLU actually beats out Llama 2 7B, and it also beats out Llama 2 13B as well. So when you compare it to Llama 2 13B, which is also a text-only model, Nano 2 is about only 1/4 the total size in terms of parameters, yet it exceeds the Llama benchmarks for all of these benchmarks that you see here today. So again, we're really proud of the performance we were able to squeeze out of this model that has so few parameters compared to the large language models that we're used to today, and compared to some of the open source models that you would need in order to achieve these kind of results. But ultimately, raw benchmark scores can be a little bit hard to read and get a feel for how good the model is. So to kind of contextualize the performance of Gemini Nano, we can compare it to Gemini Pro. And so by normalizing Gemini Pro's benchmarks, meaning Pro's values would be all ones on this chart, we can see how the Nano models perform compared to it. And so this side is specifically looking at coding, math, and science learning tasks. And these are some of the more difficult tasks for small models to score highly in, honestly for all models to score highly in, as even the average human would likely score well below Gemini Pro's benchmark across these tasks. And so you could see for coding tasks, Nano 1 and Nano 2 perform about 0.3 to 0.4 as well as Pro. And then on MMLU, we see Nano 1 and Nano 2 perform about 0.6 to about 0.8 as well as Pro respectively. And so when you aggregate the performance along these much harder tasks, we can see that Gemini Nano is about half as good, to maybe a little bit more than half as good as Gemini Pro is. So again, we're happy with these values. This is some of the harder tasks for models to do, especially for small models, which don't have that many weights to represent the complex multi-step reasoning that you need in order to do really well on these benchmarks. But it gets better. So now when we look at the same comparison, but for text question answering and retrieval tasks, we see that the Nano models actually perform about 70 to 80% as well as Gemini Pro. And Gemini Pro already has excellent performance at these tasks. So the fact that Nano is doing about 70 to 80% as well is really quite impressive across this benchmark suite. And so this really also starts to show where the strength of these small models lie, which again is really on these natural text Q&A based tasks, while we continue to iterate and build on those harder coding and math capabilities. So to contextualize it further, we can look at lmsys.org's chatbot arena. The chatbot arena is a side-by-side comparison tool where real human raters send a query, they get 2 model responses, and then they can pick between either of these 2 model responses, depending on which one they prefer. And from there, LMSys calculates an ELO score for each model. So this ELO score is based on actual human preference, not just on any benchmark. And so you can then use these ELO scores to compare different models to each other based on these real human preferences. So recently we submitted a BART checkpoint powered by Gemini Pro, which you can see highlighted there in the yellow in the leaderboard. And that quickly rose to number 2 in the ARENA leaderboard. And again, this means based on real human preference, Gemini Pro is the second best model in the ARENA. And so as we showed in the prior slide, Gemini Nano models can do about as 70 to 80% as well as Gemini Pro on these text-based tasks. Therefore, this means that you can have a model running end-to-end privately on your phone, which performs 80% as well as the second highest ranked model that's out there today, according to human preference. You know, you could be in the middle of the jungle, you could be on Mars, and have in your pocket a highly competitive model that is representing a compressed form of all human knowledge. That's pretty incredible to me, and I think it's something that no one saw coming with this explosion of large language models. And frankly, that's why these like high value yet very small and efficient small language models are really quite interesting to me personally. So to kind of wrap things up on the text performance, we see that Nano shows some incredible capabilities, particularly on these question answering, retrieval task, factuality-based benchmarks. And for their size, they still do show relatively strong performance on these complex reasoning, math, and programming tasks. Performance that is above average human level for these tasks. But nano models, even though are small and already perform so well on these text tasks, can actually do more. Nano models are part of the Gemini family, and the Gemini family is inherently multimodal. So that means that nano models are also multimodal within that same parameter count as well. And specifically, nano models can ingest images and audio to do cross-modality understanding tasks. All of this while staying at these incredibly small sizes and already outperforming larger models that are text only and don't have these multimodal features like Llama 2 7B, Llama 2 13B, as I mentioned earlier. So now let's see how Nano performs on these multimodal tasks. So on this side, we can see how Nano performs across a variety of image tasks. And I think the titles of these image tasks are mostly self-explanatory. But for the less obvious ones, MMMU up there is basically MMLU, but in image format. So it's basically college level subject knowledge, deliberate reasoning across art and design, business, science, health, medicine, humanities, social studies, tech, and engineering. So yeah, basically the image version of MMLU. Some of these other ones are pretty self-explanatory, like chart QA shows the model an image of a chart and asks it a series of questions. Same with infographic, doc, and text VQAs. And then VQA V2 is a data set containing open-ended questions about images that require an understanding of vision, language, and also some common sense knowledge. So we could see that the state-of-the-art results are all held by Nano's big brother, which is Gemini Ultra. Gemini Nano is actually not too far behind when you compare it because these results are not normalized, so you can compare those directly. It's performing on document question answering, reading and reasoning on text, and VQA V2 is really quite strong and very impressive when you consider the fact that these parameters are also shared across all that text performance as well. So the fact that these small models can correctly read infographics and chart about half the time can correctly read charts and infographics about half the time is also really impressive considering, again, such small models. Cool, so now we see the same thing, but for audio input here, comparing Nano 1 with Gemini Pro with OpenAI's Whisper, which is a speech-to-text model. And so again, we could see a variety of different benchmarks. The top 4 there, lower score is better because that's the word error rate. So what % of words does the model get incorrect out of 100 words it transcribes? And in the bottom, the higher score is actually better. So I'm not going to go too into detail on these exactly what these benchmarks are. If you have questions, you could look them up, or if you have questions about them, I'll be at that podium in the right later and happy to chat about it. But basically, again, we see, of course, Nano is trailing its larger brothers and sisters, Gemini Pro and Ultra, but it is performing very close to them on this multimodal task. And notably, it is beating out one of our competitors' models that is built specifically to do this task. So to wrap up on multimodal, we saw that our Nano series of models can perform really quite impressively across a variety of broad image benchmarks while remaining extremely small in size relative to larger language models. And it's even better than some larger vision-only models for these vision tasks. Furthermore, Nano also exhibits very strong capabilities in speech-to-text, including in situations where audio translation is required as part of the benchmark suite. So some of those benchmarks that I showed in the prior slide are actually multilingual as well, and Gemini Nano can handle that too. So in conclusion, we see that our Nano series of models can perform about 50 to 80% as well as the larger model family across a variety of tasks, making it the ultimate value offering when it comes to small multimodal models. Its lightweight size allows for on-device deployment and very fast, high throughput, very efficient inference when hosted on the server side. And I personally think this unlocks a variety of really creative use cases and a great opportunity to scale the benefits of Gen AI broadly throughout humanity, which is certainly a challenge today with very large models, as we all know. And so I'd love to learn what kind of things people would be interested in building with this unique set of capabilities at this really accessible size. So I'd love if anybody, or if all of you can reach out to me directly. I'd love to hear from you. What are you trying to build? What do you want to see from these future iterations of these small models? What are you excited about with this model family? I'll have my socials on the next slide. Thank you all so much for your time and for hearing my presentation about Gemini Nano. All of the information you saw on the sides today is also viewable on our Gemini technical report, which we released in December. So if you didn't get pictures or you want to read about this more in depth, feel free to take a look at the Gemini technical report where these same details are shared as well. But yeah, thank you once again for listening to the talk. I'll be over at that podium for any Q&A after the talk. So thank you again.